Another element a person can highlight about about what the person may be, is about deviation or corruption that we find, whereby a person has deviant or corrupt beliefs. But here again we find that some people begin to go to extremities, that because this person is a deviant individual, so then you can make طعن في خلقه في لبسه في كلامه. You can insult the way they dress, the way they speak, the way that they are. الطعن يكون في عقيدته. The blame or the rebuttal is in their belief, is in the corruption. It's not personal. Thus we find that some shabab, young individuals, if they try to refute someone, they become emotional. They begin to revile. They begin to curse the individual. This is no exaggeration. I've heard this with my own ears. Performing wudu. هذا الشخص ممكن 3 شهور قد أسلم. Maybe 3 months to become a Muslim, according to their own words. Performing wudu is busy reviling the Imam of the masjid. أنه ضال, أنه جاهل, أنه مبتدع, لا يعرف شيء. 3 months you've been a Muslim, and you're reviling an Imam, reviling somebody that you may differ upon something, cursing and reviling them. He's ignorant, he's stupid, he doesn't know anything. هذا ما يكون رد على أي أحد. This isn't refuting any individual. لأن للردود أسلوب. When you speak about another person, there's أسلوب in addressing. When ulama, they reject another individual, لا ينكر كل شيء. They don't reject everything about the individual that exists about the individual. They reject that which the person is deviating away from the truth. ونضرب المثل, to show the extremity of the affair, to help us to understand. الخوارج ما أحد, no individual defends فكرة الخوارج, فكرة الخروج. Al-Khawarij that we find are one of the most extreme elements of deviation inside this Muslim ummah. That's why we find that even today you find ta'thir, you find that their views still exist unfortunately inside this community that need to be uprooted amongst the Muslims. It has to be uprooted, because these individuals believe the person who carries out a major sin, فَهُوَ مُخَلَّدْ فِي النَّارِ, then this person remains for eternity inside the fire. That's one of their beliefs. Views are many views that they have amongst their beliefs, just to help us to understand in a nutshell. The other view that we find extremity in this Muslim ummah is al-irja, the murji'ah, that iman, it remains constant. You disobey Allah, you sin, tashrab al-khamr, drink alcohol, tazni, do haram, it has no impact on your iman. You find Muslims, it's going, unfortunately, becoming rampant in our Muslim community. Commit sins, it doesn't affect my iman. It's no relationship to iman. These are the two concepts of deviation that are beginning to spread once again inside this Muslim ummah, unfortunately. But to be just and fair and to be polite, read about al-Khawarij, how ulama even took their narrations of hadith. لماذا? How can ulama of hadith take the narrations of hadith when they're supposed to be a deviated group, a deviated sect? How did they accept their hadith, their narrations? You know why? Because al-kadhib indahum min al-kaba'ir. Because to lie is amongst the major sins. And according to their belief, as we mentioned, concluded, a major sin makes you reside for eternity in the hellfire. So ulama of hadith accept their narrations based upon their own principles that they will never lie when they narrate hadith. This shows us the concept, help us to understand about aqaid and belief. Because people are always excited about saying things about other individuals, and they don't want to be polite about it. They lose interest about politeness in rectifying people and trying to rectify the affairs around them that we find. And thus we find this concept of politeness is a science of sunnah that we need to learn and we need to implement inside our lives. The Prophet ﷺ, we find, is not a manifestation of weakness. That when he shows kindness or goodness, it's a sign of maturity, a sign of strength of dealing with fellow human beings. So that's when he said, Inna sharra nasi man taraka nas. The most wicked of people is one that the people they begin to avoid. People begin to avoid the individual. Or wada'u nas ittiqa'a fuhshihi, or people leave the individual because of the evil speech of the individual. And thus we find that a Muslim is polite to every single individual in the way that they conduct themselves towards the people around them. If it becomes incumbent for a Muslim to be polite towards non-Muslims, The Quran mentions, وَلَا تُجَادِلُوا أَهْلَ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْهُمْ. Don't debate with the people of the book except with goodness. Another place in the Quran, أُدْعُ إِلَى سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Call all to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with fair preaching, admonition, and debate with them in a good manner. So imagine, this is speaking about non-Muslims. How about towards the Muslims around us? idfa' billati hiya ahsan fa idha alladhi baynaka wa baynahu adawatun ka'annahu waliyyun hamim. Repel badness, bad characteristics, bad behavior with goodness, with hasana. Because perhaps the individual who shows hatred towards you, ka'annahu waliyyun hamim, becomes a close comrade, a good friend. And thus we find that a person needs to learn to be polite, learn to walk away from certain things based upon the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to see the greater good. As we find a hadith in Abu Dawud, Sunnah of Abi Dawud, that we find, I'm a guarantor of a house in paradise, on the outskirts of paradise, for a person who refrains from opinion-based arguing, even if he or she is in the correct. And sometimes a person needs just walk away from something out of politeness. A person doesn't have to respond to every single thing, or to get involved into a debate with a person, or to prove that I'm right in everything that I believe, in everything that I say. A house in the outskirts of paradise, the person knows that this person is futile. There's no point in continuously debating, continuously speaking with this individual, just wasting my time, wasting my effort, just to walk away from the individual. For that individual, you find that there would be a house on the outskirts of paradise for that individual.